Hello everyone, welcome to Work with Soul. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Work with Soul 5-day online workshop where we're here to support you in doing the work that lights up your soul. I'm Kelly, I'm one of your hosts, and today I am here with Carla Blumenthal, our authenticity expert. How are you, Carla?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you, Kelly?
I'm good. Happy birthday. Thank you for joining us on your big day.
Yeah.
Carla is a dear friend of mine and our authenticity expert for the workshop. She believes in the power of a listening ear and an open heart and has an impassioned mission to build environments, both physical and online, that cultivate a deeper sense of self and humanness. Carla founded T+ Purpose, an organization that creates environments for women to connect with their inner lives in community with others. She consults mission-driven, women-run businesses on their marketing strategies. And she recently gave a TEDx talk about why there is freedom in discomfort. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So I'm curious, since this is a soulful workshop, what is one spiritual practice that you use in your work right now to stay authentic?
Yeah. Well, it definitely has been a learning curve, but something I've been incorporating recently is really focusing in on my mornings. What I've been doing is I had a bad habit of grabbing my phone first thing in the morning and just scrolling and looking at email. So what I'm doing now is I'm still grabbing either my iPad or my iPhone, but I've been looking up either a daily affirmation or a daily prayer, like first thing before I can even think, and sort of reading that and setting my day with that. And then I always have a cup of tea that I drink throughout the day, starting in the morning. So sort of that quiet time in the morning with my tea and my prayer affirmation.
I really love that because I think most of us pick up our phones first thing. And I love how you kind of like change that habit into something that's super helpful and healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell us about your authenticity journey.
Yeah, so it's been an ongoing journey and mostly a daily learning process. So I guess it's best to start on how I define authenticity, which is really an alignment with your emotions. So there's like an inner part. So aligning with what you're actually feeling and then expressing that. So I think a lot of us get caught in that expressing part, but don't have full alignment with what they're thinking and feeling.
So true.
So that was really been, the past couple years has been focusing on that alignment part for myself. So I guess I'll go back about a year and a half ago. I found myself at a really interesting turning point. I had spent about close to 5 years in New York. I had been working in advertising. I worked at an agency, which is how we had met, and then at a brand. And I found myself within 3 months, I had broken up with a boyfriend, lost my job, and had bed bugs in my apartment, which was terrible. So it was interesting because I found myself within this short amount of time really having to be quiet and sitting in this silence, which was very painful because it was the first time in my life I'd always been so busy, type A, going from all these different activities, and then of course moving to New York, which is crazy, to having to sit in this silence. And I really noticed that it was difficult for me. So in the silence, I actually recognized that I wasn't listening to any emotions that I had. I wasn't actually being true to myself. And so I recognized that I was wearing what I call an armor. And this armor was full of a lot of anxiety, defense mechanisms, stress. I mean, a lot of things that I just sort of put on the outside. And so I recognized that it was really important for me to, one, be aware that I was wearing that armor, and two, start to identify and connect with what that armor was comprised of. So that's what I really think is the start of a lot of people's authenticity journey, is recognizing they have an inner life and that it's starting to be aware of what's going on inside and identify and connecting to that.
That's so true. And it is so hard to be quiet. So I honor you in that, in that stillness. So how, now that you've kind of found your authentic self, or you've really, dug deep into what that is, how are you aligning your authentic self with your work?
Yeah. So I guess growing up, I always loved people. I loved learning about them, and so that was always a part of what I was interested in. It sort of brought me through theater in high school and college, and then I decided to study communications and marketing. So I moved to New York and worked at like a social media advertising agency for about 3.5 years. And it grew very quickly, and I was able to be promoted a lot, and I loved the people, and I loved the type of work at the time that I was working on. But I recognized that I didn't feel very connected to either the products or the services, and I realized there could be a greater connection there. So I moved to a health foods company where I had a similar function. I was the first social media hire there. So I felt a little bit more connected to what we were, the products that we were selling. But I felt actually then a little bit less connected to the function of the work. And unfortunately, the environment wasn't necessarily conducive to who I was, or what the type of people I wanted to work with long term. So I was let go from that job after about a year. And as a type A person, I was, being let go was such a big thing, because I had never been through that type of experience before. So I had a lot of shame around that, that I have worked through. But it was at that time, about 1.5 years ago, that I said, okay, looking at those different qualities, so environment, analyzing okay, I'm a bit of an introvert, I have extroverted qualities, what type of environment is best for me? Open office, a huge company, or a smaller group of people that's working on something, or contract type of work. So looking at that, then looking at my intrinsic qualities. Like I said, I've always loved communicating with people, and maybe what I'm learning now is, yes, online platforms, I'm interested in that, but maybe that's not all of it. I miss that one-on-one social interaction. And then lastly is, so we have environment, intrinsic qualities, and then just the function of the work itself. So what type of things do I like doing in general. So those 3 things I've been trying to align a bit more. So what I'm doing now is I'm the ultimate multi-hyphenate. I am doing, some consulting work for women's-run businesses and foundations, and then also running T+ Purpose, which sort of just came straight from my heart, which is just getting groups of women together and having these intentional conversations. So
yeah, I think this is such a great story, because a lot of people watching this right now probably, one, they have a lot of passions. They might be in an environment, though, where they're feeling like their light isn't fully seen, either because it's the environment or the people or the cause that they're behind, or maybe it's the actual function of the role. And so I love how your story kind of combines all of those elements, and then you've really kind of stepped into where you needed to go in order to get there, which is not an easy thing to do. So applause.
Yeah. And that's, that's actually a great point, because the reason I just gave this TEDx talk about 2 weeks ago, and the whole thesis of the talk is about stepping into this uncomfortable experience. So recognizing your armor, understanding that recognizing it is very uncomfortable. And then the process of then finding, what aligns a little bit better is not going to be handed to you, and it can bring up a lot of difficult, uncomfortable things for you. And so I thought that was an important message to put out into the world, that finding your own path and sort of aligning all of those different qualities can be not, you know, I wouldn't say not the most pleasant experience, but like it's difficult because there's not, sometimes we don't have the support network, and so there are some challenges that are out there, financial and emotional and a bunch of different things. So it's a great point.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more. What are those challenges that you had? What were the key areas of discomfort that you feel like you had to overcome in order to see your authentic freedom?
Yeah, and it's something that I want to really talk about. It's like every day. It's an ongoing thing that I recognize what those obstacles are. A lot of them are internal, and so I just recognize that it's an ongoing thing. So yeah, I would say the two main things that I mentioned very briefly are financial. Just knowing that I wasn't going to have a very steady paycheck necessarily. So learning how to sort of navigate and being really smart about that. And then two is emotional. So emotional, there's a lot of different things with that, but a lot of it had to do with support network. So I am very close with my family, but they've never done something like this before. And so understanding that maybe their advice isn't 100% the best advice all the time. And a lot of my friends hadn't necessarily been through this process either. So learning that there are soul sisters and friends outside of my immediate network that I can connect with. And that's how actually we reconnected.
It is.
A while back. So learning that there are virtual friends who can sort of be by your side. So yeah, it's a big part, and every day I'm sort of stepping into, I know what I'm doing is right because I'm following what I'm aligning internally with, and going out into the world, and I know that I'm supported by other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think those are some of the biggest fears. Those were definitely two of my larger areas of discomfort as I was also venturing on this path around the same time that you are, which is really cool. So what can you do, like say you're not that far, or even maybe you're all the way down the path, but you're still like, I still want to be more authentic. What can everyone be doing today to put some of these ideas into action?
Yeah, so I think I have a great journal exercise that I wanted to share with everyone. So if everyone wants to get out their notepads, what I'd like you to do is sort of think back to a time in your life when you actually did step into that discomfort, and sort of figure out what is that situation, what were the feelings you had internally, what did you have friends or family that supported you, and tell us about the results. So I think it could range. Your example could range from literally. I mean, I know one of mine in middle school and high school and sometimes college is like literally just raising your hand in class. That can sometimes stepping into a moment of discomfort, as small as that, to maybe stepping up into a bigger role at work, or maybe telling someone you love them, whatever it may be, and writing out what is that situation that you stepped into that moment of discomfort, and what did that look like for you. So you can then go back and remember what that is as you step into your additional moments of discomfort in the near future.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. So everyone that's watching this, now it is your turn. I would love for you to do Carla's exercise to kind of discover what are those times where you've stepped into that discomfort, and share it with us. Share it in the comments below. Let us know high level or as much detail as you want of what was that time and what you've learned from that. And Carla has volunteered. She will be choosing 2 people who share their stories to meet with them and have a tea time and talk more about living authentically and moving into that journey. Oh, there she is. Teacup. Well, thank you, Carla. How can we keep in touch, and how can we find you?
Definitely. So one, I would just love for everyone to get involved with T Plus Purpose, and you can check out our website. So it's the word TEA, the word plus, PLUS, purpose.com. We have a newsletter, and so you can sign up for that and like us on Facebook. And then I'll be involved in the comments here, and I would chat with anyone ongoing.
Awesome. And now it is time for our community to take action. So everyone, can't wait to hear your stories about how you're stepping into your authentic selves. And we'll see you in the comments below. Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, thank you.